What if I told you that the airline you flew on last month made less than $8 from your ticket? That is not a joke, not an exaggeration, and not a number pulled from thin air. In 2026, the global airline industry is expected to generate over $1 trillion in revenue, transport more than 5 billion passengers, and still walk away with a net profit margin of just 3.9%. To put that in perspective, Apple earns more profit selling a single iPhone case than an airline earns, flying you across an entire continent. So if the margins are that razor thin, how do these massive companies stay alive? How do they fund billion-dollar fleets, pay tens of thousands of employees, and still manage to post record profits? The answer is far more fascinating and far more complex than most people ever realize. And by the end of this video, you will never look at your boarding pass the same way again. Let us start with the most obvious piece of the puzzle, the one everyone thinks they understand: ticket sales. Yes, when you book a flight, the airline collects revenue from your fare. On a hypothetical one-way flight from London to New York on a Boeing 787, the economics break down in surprising ways. Economy class might have around 225 seats, filled to roughly 85% capacity, meaning about 191 passengers. At an average one-way fare of around $500, that generates approximately $95,000. Premium economy adds another $26,000 from about 26 passengers, paying roughly $1,000 each. And business class, with its lie-flat seats and champagne service, brings in around $66,000 from just 22 passengers, paying roughly $3,000 one way. Add it all up, and the airline collects about $160,000 in ticket revenue from a single transatlantic flight. Sounds like a lot, right? But here is where the story gets interesting, because the costs of operating that same flight are staggering. Fuel alone can eat up nearly a third of an airline's operating expenses. Then you have aircraft leasing or ownership costs, crew salaries, airport fees, maintenance, navigation charges, ground handling, insurance, and catering. On that same London to New York flight, total costs can easily reach $150,000 or more, leaving shockingly little from ticket sales alone. This is why the industry's average net profit per passenger in 2026 is expected to be just $7.90. Think about that the next time you complain about a $30 baggage fee. Would you have guessed that the airline barely makes $8 from your entire journey? And that brings us to the second major revenue stream, one that has quietly become a lifeline for carriers worldwide: ancillary revenue. This includes everything the airline sells you beyond the base ticket: checked baggage fees, seat selection charges, priority boarding, extra legroom, onboard food and beverages, Wi-Fi access, and travel insurance. In 2026, ancillary and other revenues across the global airline industry are projected to reach $145 billion, accounting for nearly 14% of total revenue. That is up from 12 to 13% before the pandemic, and it keeps climbing every year. Budget airlines like Ryanair and Spirit have built their entire business models around this concept, offering rock-bottom base fares and then charging for virtually everything else. Even legacy carriers have adopted this playbook aggressively. American Airlines pioneered the checked bag fee back in 2008 at just $15. Today, some carriers charge up to $99 for a single bag. The ancillary revenue model has fundamentally transformed how airlines think about pricing. The ticket is no longer the product, the ticket is the entry fee. Everything else is where the real money lives. But perhaps the most surprising and most profitable revenue stream is one that most passengers never even think about: loyalty programs and credit card partnerships. This is where the airline industry has quietly engineered one of the most brilliant financial machines in modern business. Here is how it works. Airlines partner with major banks to offer co-branded credit cards. When you sign up for a Delta SkyMiles American Express card or a United Mileage Plus Chase card, The bank pays the airline for every mile you earn through spending. Every grocery run, every gas station fill-up, every online purchase generates miles, and for every single one of those miles, the bank is sending cash directly to the airline. The numbers are absolutely staggering. In 2025, Delta Airlines received $8.2 billion in cash from its partnership with American Express alone. That represented about 14% of Delta's total adjusted operating revenue and was actually 1.4 times larger than the airline's entire adjusted operating income. Let that sink in. Delta made more money from credit card partnerships than it did from actually flying airplanes. American Airlines reported $6.2 billion from its co-brand partners, a figure roughly 4 times its adjusted operating income. Delta has publicly stated it is on track to earn as much as $10 billion annually from its American Express relationship. These loyalty programs have become so valuable that Delta's Sky Miles program alone was valued at approximately $26 billion in 2024, a figure that at times has exceeded the market capitalization of the airline itself. The loyalty program is worth more than the company that created it. If that does not blow your mind, nothing will. Airlines are now restructuring their entire reward systems to push passengers toward these credit cards. Starting in April 2026, United Airlines announced that regular members without a co-branded card will earn only 3 miles per dollar spent on flights, while cardholders earn at least 6. American Airlines has stopped awarding miles on basic economy tickets entirely unless you hold their branded card. Delta lets customers use credit card spending to qualify for elite status. The message is clear. The airline wants you swiping that card every single day, not just when you fly. Would you ever have imagined that buying groceries with the right credit card matters more to an airline's bottom line than you actually boarding their plane? Now let us talk about a revenue source hidden beneath your feet: cargo. Roughly half of the world's air freight travels in the belly of passenger aircraft. A wide-body jet like the 787 can carry about 10 metric tons of cargo alongside passengers, generating around $7,000 in extra revenue per flight. Across the industry, cargo revenue is projected to reach $158 billion in 2026. E-commerce and semiconductor shipments for the artificial intelligence boom have kept air cargo demand remarkably strong. There is another layer most people never consider: dynamic pricing. Airlines were pioneers in using algorithms to maximize revenue from every seat. The price you pay can change dozens of times per day based on demand, departure date, and competitor pricing. 2 passengers sitting side by side might have paid wildly different amounts. This system squeezes every possible dollar from each departure, generating billions more than a fixed price model ever could. So when you add it all up, the revenue picture looks nothing like what most people assume. The $53 trillion the industry is expected to generate in 2026. Roughly $751 billion comes from passenger tickets, $158 billion from cargo, and $145 billion from ancillary services and loyalty programs. Yet after all of that, combined net profit is projected at just $41 billion, a margin of only 3.9%. The airline business is a trillion-dollar industry that operates on pennies, where success means filling 8% of seats, managing fleets worth hundreds of millions each, and running credit card programs that have become the most reliable profit engine in aviation. The next time you are sitting in your seat, watching the safety demonstration and wondering whether the airline is making any money from your fare, now you know the answer. They are barely breaking even on your ticket. The real money comes from the bag you checked, the extra legroom you paid for, the credit card in your wallet, and the cargo underneath your feet. Airlines are not just transportation companies anymore. They are financial ecosystems, logistics networks, and loyalty program operators that happen to also fly airplanes. If this story surprised you, Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you do not miss our next deep dive into the business secrets hiding in plain sight. Drop a like if you learned something new today, and tell me in the comments, knowing all of this, do you think airlines deserve more profit, or are they already squeezing passengers for every last cent? I genuinely want to hear your take on this one.